I gripped the steering wheel tighter, my chest aching. Maybe I was about to ruin everything for nothing. Maybe that text was a misunderstanding. Maybe then I saw him. I had pulled up to the most expensive restaurant in town, and there he was sitting at a table by the window, his head tilted towards someone across from him. I felt the world slow down. I thought love was forever. I thought he was my forever. But I was wrong. The day Adrian left me was the day I stopped believing in fairy tales. We had built a life together from scratch, fighting through every hardship, supporting each other through thick and thin. I was his biggest cheerleader, his ride or die. And he was mine. Or so I thought. Then, one night, everything changed. He walked in late, his tie undone, the scent of expensive cologne lingering on his skin one I didn't recognize. His eyes, once filled with love, now held something else. Something distant. Something cold. And then he said the words that shattered my world. I think we need a break. A break? After 5 years of love, of struggle, of dreams built together? I laughed, thinking it was some kind of sick joke. Adrian, stop messing around. You're exhausted. Let's talk in the morning. But his face remained impassive. I'm serious, Emma. My stomach twisted. Is there someone else? He hesitated just for a second. And that second was all I needed. I felt my entire world collapse. My hands trembled as I reached for the back of the couch to steady myself. You promised me forever, Adrian. He exhaled sharply, running a hand through his hair. Things change. People change. Lies. People don't change overnight. Love doesn't just disappear. I wanted to scream, cry, and beg him to stay. But I wouldn't give him that satisfaction. Instead, I swallowed my pain and whispered, "Who is she?" He didn't answer. He didn't need to. Because the very next day, the headlines told me everything. Billionaire son Adrian Carter engaged to heiress Sophia Laurent. And just like that, I became nothing but a forgotten chapter in his life. But he didn't know one thing. I wasn't a chapter. I was the whole damn book. And my story? It was far from over. Love wasn't just a word for me, it was a belief, a promise. And for 5 years, I thought Adrian and I were living that promise. We met in college, back when we were both nobodies trying to carve a place in the world. He was the charming boy with dreams too big for his pockets, and I was the girl who believed in him more than he believed in himself. We started as friends, late-night study sessions turning into deep conversations, which turned into stolen glances, which turned into a love so intense, so consuming, that I thought nothing in the world could shake us. I still remember the first time he told me he loved me. It was raining that night, one of those summer storms that made the streets glisten under the lamplights. We had been arguing over something stupid, who should get the last slice of pizza. And then, out of nowhere, he grabbed my face, pulled me close, and whispered against my lips, "Emma, I love you. I don't want pizza. I just want you." I laughed, thinking he was joking. But then I saw the way his eyes softened, how serious he was. And I knew, in that moment, I was his. Completely. We built our lives from nothing. He worked 2 jobs while finishing his degree, and I supported him in every way I could. We shared an apartment so small, we had to put our mattress on the floor because a bed frame wouldn't fit. We took turns making instant noodles for dinner, promising each other that one day we'd be eating in the finest restaurants, not because we had to, but because we wanted to. And slowly, things started changing. Adrian got his big break-a job offer from Carter Enterprises, one of the biggest firms in the country. He was hesitant at first, worried he'd be out of his league, but I told him what I always did. You were born for this, Adrian. You're going to be great. And he was. He climbed the corporate ladder so fast, people started calling him a prodigy. His confidence grew, his suits got sharper, and our late-night instant noodles turned into candlelit dinners at expensive restaurants. But one thing never changed, at least. That's what I thought. No matter how much money he made, no matter how high he climbed, he always came home to me. Always held me close at night, whispering how none of it mattered without me by his side. I believed him. God, I believed him. But looking back now, I see the signs. The late nights at the office. The way he started dressing sharper, even on weekends. The phone calls he'd take in the other room. The scent of a perfume that wasn't mine. I ignored it all. Because when you love someone that deeply, that blindly, you don't look for cracks. You don't want to see the flaws. You just want to believe. And so I did. Until the night he shattered everything. Until I realized that the man I built my world around had already moved on. The night it all fell apart started like any other. I had spent the entire day preparing a special dinner his favorite, homemade lasagna with extra cheese, just the way he liked it. It had been weeks since we'd had a real meal together. He was always too busy, too caught up in endless meetings, too exhausted to talk. But tonight was different. Tonight, I wanted to remind him of us. I set the table with candles, put on the red dress he once said made me look irresistible, and waited. And waited. By 10 p.m., the lasagna was cold, the candles had melted into puddles of wax, and my heart was sinking into my stomach. I called him. Straight to voicemail. I tried again. Nothing. Then, as I sat there, staring at the untouched dinner, his phone lit up on the counter. A text. From an unknown number. Can't wait to see you tonight. I'll be waiting. Ready. My breath caught in my throat. My fingers went numb. I blinked, hoping I had read it wrong. Maybe it was some kind of joke. But deep down, I already knew. The text wasn't from a coworker. It wasn't some innocent message. It was exactly what it looked like: betrayal. I felt like the walls of our apartment were closing in on me. The air was too thick, suffocating. My chest ached as my mind raced through every late-night meeting, every unexplained absence, every excuse he had fed me over the past few months. I should have seen it, but love makes you blind. My hands shook as I grabbed my car keys. I wasn't the kind of woman who sat back and let things happen. If he thought he could sneak around behind my back, he had another thing coming. I was going to find out the truth. And nothing could prepare me for what I was about to see. I kept staring at the text. Can't wait to see you tonight. I'll be waiting. Retta. My hands felt frozen around the phone, my heartbeat a violent drum in my ears. Who was she? Why was he lying? No. Maybe I was overreacting. Maybe there was an explanation. I sucked in a sharp breath, trying to steady myself, but my mind wouldn't stop racing. What if I was wrong? What if I confronted him and embarrassed myself over nothing? But then another thought crept in, one that made my stomach turn. What if I was right? I swallowed the lump in my throat, pacing the kitchen as my fingers hovered over the phone. Should I call him? Should I demand an answer? I clenched my jaw. No. I needed proof. I grabbed my keys and slipped on a jacket, my mind made up. I wasn't going to sit at home like a fool while my fiancée Adrian was out with someone else. As I drove through the city streets, my mind played tricks on me. I thought about the Adrian I had fallen in love with. The boy who used to hold my hand during thunderstorms because he knew they scared me. The man who kissed my forehead every morning before leaving for work. The one who told me, over and over, that I was his home. Had it all been a lie? Was I just something temporary until something better came along? His expression was soft, the way it used to be with me. He was smiling, leaning in just slightly, as if what she was saying was the most important thing in the world. And then my heart stopped, because sitting across from him was Sophia Laurent, the billionaire heiress, the woman every magazine called the most eligible bachelorette in the country. And she was laughing at something Adrian had said, her manicured hand reaching across the table to touch his. A touch he didn't pull away from. I felt my breath hitch, my vision blurring. It wasn't just some random girl. It wasn't some drunken mistake. It was planned. Intentional. And worst of all, it was real. A sharp pain shot through my chest, as if someone had physically ripped my heart out. I could barge in there right now, confront him, make a scene, ask him why. But what would he say? That it wasn't what it looked like? That she was just a friend? That I was overthinking? No. I needed more than words. I needed the truth. So I did the hardest thing I'd ever done. I turned away. And as I drove home, my hands trembling against the wheel, I made myself a promise. If Adrian wanted to trade me for power and wealth, if he thought he could toss me aside like I meant nothing, then he had no idea what I was capable of. I barely slept that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw them. Adrian and Sophia. Her hand grazed him. His smile, the same smile that once belonged to me now, meant for someone else. By morning, the ache in my chest had settled into something colder. Determination. I needed more than just a glimpse through a restaurant window. I needed proof. So I did something I never thought I would do. I followed him. I waited outside his office, my hands clutching the steering wheel as I watched him walk out in his sharp, tailored suit, looking every bit the successful man he had always dreamed of becoming. But he wasn't alone. Sophia was with him. I gritted my teeth as I watched them get into a sleek black car, his driver holding the door open like they were royalty. Where were they going? My heart pounded as I trailed behind them, careful to keep my distance. Every turn, every stoplight, I reminded myself, this was for the truth. After 30 minutes of weaving through the city, the car finally pulled into a private estate, one I recognized immediately, Sophia Loren's family mansion. My fingers dug into the steering wheel as I watched Adrian step out and adjust his cuffs, looking completely at home. The way he placed a hand on the small of her back, guiding her inside, sent a fresh wave of nausea through me. But nothing could have prepared me for what happened next. A group of reporters stood at the grand entrance, their cameras flashing, microphones extended. And then Adrian and Sophia turned to face them. Together. My heart slammed against my ribs. What the hell was happening? I turned up the volume on my phone, watching the live feed from a news station. Reporter: Adrian, Sophia. There have been rumors of a secret engagement. Can you confirm? Engagement? I gripped my phone tighter, my breath shallow. Sophia laughed softly, glancing at Adrian. And then he reached for her hand. I felt the air leave my lungs as I watched him slip a diamond ring onto her finger. The reporters went wild, their voices overlapping. Adrian smiled, his voice smooth, confident. I wanted to keep this private for a little longer, but yes, Sophia and I are engaged. My vision blurred. My world tilted. Engaged. Less than 24 hours ago, I had been planning our future. And now, he was standing in front of the world, declaring his love for another woman, like I had never even existed. A sharp, bitter laugh escaped my lips. So this was why he left me. Not because he fell out of love. Not because we grew apart. But because I wasn't enough. Because Sophia was more powerful, more connected, more everything. I should have cried. I should have screamed. But instead, I felt something new rise in me. Fire. If Adrian thought he could toss me aside and move on without consequences, he had no idea what was coming. Because I wasn't just going to sit back and watch. I was going to destroy him. I wasn't going to cry. I wasn't going to beg. Adrian had made his choice. Now, it was time for me to make mine. For the next 2 weeks, I disappeared from his life. No calls. No texts. Nothing. Let him believe I was broken, that I had accepted defeat. Let him enjoy his fairy tale with Sophia Loren. Because while he was busy planning a future with her, I was planning his downfall. And the opportunity came sooner than I expected. The Laurent annual Galetha, most exclusive event of the year. A night filled with the wealthiest, most powerful people in the country. A night where Adrian and Sophia would make their first public appearance as an engaged couple. A night where I would remind Adrian exactly who he underestimated. Dressed in a stunning black silk gown, my makeup flawless, my confidence unshakable, I walked into the grand ballroom as if I belonged there. Because I did. Gasps and whispers followed me as I stepped onto the marble floor. Some recognized me. Some only knew me as the woman Adrian had thrown away. And then, I saw him. Standing at the center of the room, looking like the perfect groom-to-be, Adrian's eyes landed on me. And for the first time since this nightmare began, he looked scared. Good. His grip on Sophia's waist tightened. She turned to see what had caught his attention. And the moment her eyes met mine, her smile faltered. Showtime. I strode toward them, confidence in every step, the crowd parting as if they could sense the storm coming. "Adrian," I said, my voice smooth, deadly calm. "Long time no see." He swallowed hard. "What are you doing here?" Sophia glanced between us, her expression unreadable. "I would have missed such an important night," I said, tilting my head. After all, it's not every day a man gets engaged to his mistress in front of the entire world. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Sophia's eyes narrowed. "Excuse me?" I turned to her, giving her the sweetest smile. "Oh, didn't he tell you? He was still with me while he was sleeping with you." Silence. Adrian's face was drained of color. "That's not true," he snapped, his voice low, desperate. I pulled out my phone, tapping the screen. "Are you sure about that?" A recording played. His voice. His words. "I don't love her, Sophia. She was just convenient. You're the one I want." The entire room froze. Sophia's hands trembled as she slowly turned to Adrian, her eyes filled with something dangerously close to hatred. "You..." Her voice cracked. "You told me you had ended things with her months ago." Adrian started, but Sophia slapped him across the face. The sharp sound echoed through the ballroom. "You lying, pathetic bastard," she hissed, her voice shaking. "You used me." I leaned in, lowering my voice just for him. "How does it feel, Adrian, to be the one left behind?" His jaw clenched, his entire world crumbling around him. But I wasn't done. I stepped onto the stage, facing the stunned audience. "You all see him as the next great businessman," I said, my voice carrying through the room. "But let me tell you what he really is, a man who destroys anything good in his life for power." I turned back to him, my smile ice cold. "And now, you have nothing." With that, I walked away, leaving him standing in the ruins of everything he had built. I walked out of the Laurent Gala with my head held high, my heels clicking against the marble floor, my heart pounding with adrenaline. For weeks, I had envisioned this moment, dreamt of how it would feel to watch Adrian crumble under the weight of his own deception. But now that it had finally happened, something strange settled inside me. Relief. Not just because I had exposed him, not just because I had taken back the power he had tried to strip from me, but because, for the first time in a long time, I was free. No more lies. No more betrayal. No more waiting for a man who had never truly chosen me. And just as that thought crossed my mind, I heard him. Wait. I didn't stop walking. I didn't need to. I had already won. But Adrian the Fool hadn't realized it yet. "Wait, please," he begged, his voice raw as he caught up to me outside the venue. The golden glow of the chandeliers from inside cast a haunting light on his face, desperate, broken, lost. The perfect man, reduced to nothing. I turned to face him, arms crossed. "You've got some nerve." His jaw clenched. "I was going to tell you." A bitter laugh escaped me. "When exactly? Before or after you slipped that ring onto Sophia's finger?" His hands balled into fists. "You don't understand." "Then make me understand, Adrian," I snapped, stepping closer, my voice cold. "Tell me why. Tell me why I wasn't enough for you. Why did you trade me for a woman whose last name could buy you an empire?" He hesitated. And in that hesitation, I found my answer. "It was always about the money, wasn't it?" I whispered, my voice barely audible. His silence was deafening. I nodded, exhaling softly. "I loved you, Adrian. God, I loved you. And you threw me away like I was nothing." Something in his expression cracked. "You weren't nothing. Then why did you treat me like I was?" He ran a hand through his hair, frustration evident. "I wanted more, okay? I wanted a future where I wasn't constantly struggling. I wanted power, security, and with Sophia, I had that. But..." His voice faltered, his gaze burning into mine. "But I never stopped loving you." I flinched. If he had said that weeks ago, maybe I would have crumbled. Maybe I would have believed him. But not now. Love? I whispered, shaking my head. You don't love me, Adrian. You love power. You love control. And the second I stopped being useful to your ambitions, you discarded me. His face twisted with pain, but I didn't let myself feel sympathy. Not for him. Not anymore. I took a slow step back. You made your choice, and tonight, I made mine. I turned, walking away from him for the final time. And this time, he didn't chase me. If someone had told me a year ago that I would be standing at the top of the business world, looking down at Adrian's downfall, I wouldn't have believed them. But here I was. I glanced out the towering windows of my new office, the one that once belonged to Adrian. He had lost everything. After the scandal, Sophia had called off the engagement publicly, ensuring his reputation was destroyed. His investors had pulled out, his company had crumbled, and the once powerful man who thought he could have it all was left with nothing. As for me, I hadn't just survived. With the connections I had gained through my carefully planned revenge, I had built my own empire, one even bigger than Adrian's had ever been. And the best part? Every time he turned on the news, every time he checked the financial reports, every time he stepped outside, he had to see my name. A reminder. A warning. That I wasn't the woman he once betrayed. I was the woman he could never break. And that was the best revenge of all. The end.